All right, hey boys and girls, this is Mr. Bell, Mr. Bell's Math. Today we are going to be talking about histograms. All right, our essential question, or what I want you to know by the end of this video, is how can you display data in a histogram? Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about, and let's go ahead and get started. I want to make sure that you guys understand what a histogram is, because you might be thinking, Instagram? Mr. Bell, what are you talking about? I know how to use Instagram. Well, I'm not talking about Instagram. I'm talking about a statistical tool called a histogram, starting with an H, okay, right here. Histogram is a type of bar graph whose bar represents the frequencies of numeric data within intervals, okay? So you might thinking, I know more about Instagram than I'll ever learn about histograms, Mr. Bell. So let's compare. You might think about it and say, ooh, this looks like a bar chart, okay? This is a bar graph. And this is a histogram, and while they have similarities, they're definitely different. Okay, so the first thing that you might notice is that there's a space between the bars on a bar graph, and on a histogram there's no spaces. Okay, and then the next thing is that the width of each of these represents a range. Okay, so this bar here represents the value between 10 and 20, while this just represents, in this case, a country. All right, this could be anything. So you need to make sure that you understand the difference, that this is a range of numbers. Okay, this means that 30 times there was an occurrence that was between 10 and 20. Okay, like this, you could think of this as average rainfall per year, or average yearly temperature. Let's put it that way. And China's average yearly temperature is 90 degrees. All right, I'm just making this up. I don't know for sure. The USA average temperature is 53 degrees. Then you can come over here and say that okay, the temperature of fell between 10 and 20 degrees on 30 different occasions. Okay, it wasn't 10 degrees, it wasn't 20 degrees, it wasn't 15. It was somewhere between 10 and 20 degrees. And then somewhere between 20 and 30 degrees happened 50 times. Somewhere between 30 and 40 degrees happened 80 times. Okay, so that's the kind of the difference between a bar chart and a histogram. So the height in each one of these determines in this case, it's a number. It's very specific. China, whatever this is, happened 90 times. Here, okay, there's 30 occurrences, but it's not a specific number. All right, it's a range, and that's what I want to make sure you guys understand. So that's the difference between the two. All right, so we're going to use what we know to go ahead and build our own histogram. All right, so in this particular case, I have the members of a high school basketball team practice free throws. Each player attempts 50 free throws, and the number of free throws made by each player is listed below. So here's my list of made free throws by each of the players. So one of the things you may want to start off with is how many guys are there? So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I got 12 players on the team, and they ranged anywhere in their free throws they made 25 out of the 50. And they made 44 out of the 50. Okay, so that's just kind of the range. So the first thing you might want to do is create what we call a frequency table, and just list how many times each one of these things happens. Okay, so between 20 and 29, all right, would be this amount right here, and I had 3 of those occurrences. So you just make little hashtags. Between 30 and 39, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I had 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so I had 7 occurrences between 30 and 39. And then I just had 2 occurrences that happened between 40 and 49. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and plot this on, let's go use it now, that won't work. All right, so I had 25, I had 29, I had another 29, so we're kind of doing like a dot plot. I had 30, I had 33, I had 34, I had 35 twice. All right, I had 36, I had 39, I had 42, and I had 44. Okay, So the same kind of thing. You can look at this number line and determine what exactly is the spread of the data, what the intervals are. So when we're talking about, and that's something I didn't mention, but the intervals, okay, are even numbers that we come up with based on our data to divide our groups into. Okay, so here we can divide it up into groups of 10, all right, 20 and 29, 30 and 39. These are groups of 10. Okay, and then you can put your data in that information. And that's what I have here. So between 20 and 29, I had 3 pieces of data, and that's what we put here. Between 30 and 39, I had 7 pieces of data, and that's what we put there. And then between 40, and we just had the number line go up to 45, but we only had 2 pieces of data, and that's what we put there. Okay, so now we can look at the data, kind of see how it spread, and we can create our histogram. And we're going to do that on the next slide, but what I also want to do is create, or at least label the mean, the median, all right, we'll say the mean, the median, the mode, the range, okay, and since we're doing all this, we might as well go ahead and hit the lower quartile. I'll just put lower Q and the upper Q, okay, in case we wanted to make a box plot. All right, so starting with the mean, if I were to add all these numbers together, I would wind up with 411 over 12, because there's 12 pieces of data. All right, so if I divided 411 by 12, I would get 34.25. 34.25. That's a decimal. Okay. The median, I would just scratch these numbers out coming in, and I know I have 12 pieces of data. So, oops, I skipped one. How did I do that? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I messed it up. Hold on, my bad. Let me scratch that out. That one's part of my middle, and that one. Okay, so between 34 and 35. So my median is going to be 34.5, 34.5. All right. My mode, the number that happens most often, is, let's erase these so we can see them. The number that happens most often, well, here's a case where I have 2 numbers that happen most often. All right, 29 occurs twice, and so does 35. So my mode would be what we call bimodal. All right, you have 29 and 35. All right, my range is the difference between the lowest and the highest number, which would be 44 minus 25. So 44 minus 25 is 19. All right, my upper quartile, excuse me, my upper quartile will be the median of these values here. I mean, that's my lower quartile, excuse me, and then my upper quartile will be the median of those values. So I find the middle number, which in this case is 29 and 30. So my lower quartile is 29.5. My upper quartile would be the mean of those 2 numbers, which is 37.5. Okay, I added these 2 numbers together and divided by 2. I added these 2 numbers and divided by 2. All right, so that's everything I need to know about this particular topic. Now, if I wanted to go ahead and create a box plot, I could do that. My lowest number is 25. I'm going to create it below. My highest number is 44, which is right there. All right. My median is 34.5, so that would be about right there. My let's see, my lower quartile is 29.5, so that would be right there. My upper quartile is 37.5, which is right there. All right, so I draw a vertical line here, here, and here. I box those in, and I draw a line going out to my ends of the range. Okay, so that's my box plot for the table of data. So let's go on and move to our frequency table. I went ahead and included our frequency table here, and we're going to go ahead and draw our frequency our histogram. All right, so all you have to do is I have everything labeled. So that the number of values that occur between 20 and 29, we said that there was 3. All right, so I want to create a bar that's going to be 3 units high. So let's see, I'm going to do it in a blue, and I want to go 3, which would be about right there. All right, let me see if I can scoot that down a little bit. Yeah, that's it, perfect. Okay, so the next one is going to be the values between 30 and 39, and I had 7 of those. So I'm going to create a box. All right, that goes up to 7, which is about right there. All right, remember, these bars touch each other. Okay, that's very important. And then finally, I had 2 values that fell between 40 and 49. So my bar graph for that, 2 values, about right there. That's it. That is my histogram. Okay, it's super easy. Remember that when you're doing this, your frequencies have to be even. You can't have a frequency of 5 numbers and then go to a frequency with 10 and then all in the same graph. They all have to be equal. Okay, so make sure that you do that. All right, thanks.